Hello everyone, welcome to the Sage, the youth segment. And today we'll be discussing an issue that is very important to every one of us, every young person, every adolescent, and every parent in Nigeria. If you remember in the last segment that we had young people talk about our living situations in Nigeria. And one of the issues we raised was that family upbringing determines a lot of what happens to a young person later on. It affects what they do, how they behave, their values, and their belief system. So, which is why we decided this segment was very important, because everything starts from the upbringing of that child, of that young person, of that adolescent. So that's why we're here today. We're going to be discussing something I titled Social Media Parenting. But it's way beyond that. It's the influence that comes from it. The influence from the web, from what we see on the televisions, from what our Nollywood movies and our music videos are portraying. Our supposed celebrities on Instagram. What are they teaching our kids? What are they portraying to young people that this is acceptable and this is not acceptable? Why should a young parent be nurturing their kids at home and the internet is doing something otherwise? There's a balance that is not there. Something is wrong, and we're sorting it out today on the Sage. So stay tuned. Welcome back. So I will be introducing our young guests. Well, not planned, but we have 4 formidable women here, young women, and they will be addressing this issue. So I'm going to start with the person on my right. Her name is Lillian Anefo. She's the CEO of Cash for Trash. She turns your waste into money, and she has been doing that very well for the past 3 to 4 years. Welcome, Lillian.
Thank you, Omalade.
And to my very close left is an amazing person, actually a very dear friend of mine. Her name is Chinelu Ezekwe. She's a media person, so I think she'll be able to give us a little more based on her experience. So glad to have you.
Same here.
Then right in the middle is the CEO, Real Con Cakes. I hope I got that right. Yes. She's Mrs. Moyoluwa Ajibulu. She's an alumni, I have to say. 3 of them on the set are alumni of the C4C Global Entrepreneurship Program, of which Moyoluwa is one of the recent graduates. So thank you for being with us on the segment.
Thank you for having me.
And definitely not the least, I'm sure you know her face by now. She's, what do I say? First CEO Sem Spices. I'm going to leave the last surname for her. Her name is Mrs. Ngozi Roland.
Okay.
Yes. And we're so glad to have her again on the youth segment. So yes, these are amazing guests, and I remain your anchor. So stay tuned as the conversations begin. Welcome back. So let's dive into the conversation. Ngozi, I'll start with you. So we hear a lot about our celebrities. I mean, we love them. What is Nigeria without our Nollywood movies? They hold a huge influence to our kids and to us as young people. So I want to hear your thoughts. What influence do these celebrities have? To these bloggers? Because even beyond our bloggers that put out all those news, then the influencers themselves in general. What is your thoughts about?
Thank you very much for that. Talking about social media influencing, I would say we made them the influencers because we copied them.
True.
So they are termed social media influencers because on the social media space, they can affect what we think, what we do, what we perceive, or what we want to be. So that's what brings about the social media influencing. And some of them are not really like Nollywood stars or musicians. Some of them are people who have, over the years, gathered a lot of followers, and they feel that they have a say or they have a followership that could follow in their footsteps. So let me not start from the bad side, because social media influencing is something that has helped grow my business. You know, having celebrities talk about my brand is something that has increased sales massively. It's something that even brought about the Instagram sale in the first, instance. Because you see people say, oh, this year I made 4 million from Instagram. Now I'm like asking God, oh God, when will it be my turn? And then I wake up one morning and somebody did a video of my product and boom, till today I have 80% of my sales come from Instagram. Wow. So I will attribute that to social media influencing. The truth about it is that people differ. There are still social media influencers that set the pace that I think people can follow, that have some level of integrity. But the truth about most of them is they are after the money. The truth about Instagram is everybody wants to build their followership so that they can become an influencer. Because when you have up to 20,000 followers, of course, brand begins to approach you to influence, in terms of their brand and all that. But what I would perceive, or what I would expect them to do, is to check the content of these brands that want them to influence for them, because they stand at a risk of having a lot of followers use that brand or associate themselves with that brand by the reason of they themselves who are the social media influencers. We have a lot of cases, like the case of the Chimaps, they're still going on, the case of the OV something, So, but a lot of social media influencers are after the money. What can they get? For them is a job. They don't look at destinies that are tied to them because of the content they have built over years. Some of us have been so attached to them that if they say eat this thing, we believe, oh, there's some level of integrity, so let's eat that thing. If they say, okay, do this particular thing, oh, we believe that there's a lot of integrity in that, so we want to follow suit. And talking about adolescents, most of them look up to these musicians. They look up to them as their role models because of the money they splash around, because of the fame, the acclaimed fame. I would say acclaim, because some of them, they are not even worth what they portray.
True.
So some of them on social media, they are wealthy, but in real life, we have issues of social media influencers who claim that, oh, my house, God did it. And then other people call them out to say, oh, that's not your house, babe. That house is up for sale. So these are things that social media has made it's like social media is a place you can live the life you cannot live in reality. So it's now time for our youth, our young people, our young children to be able to differentiate
what is real
and what is not real. Yes, you will have normal influences. The truth about it is that what you keep watching often, or the person you keep listening to often, has some kind of control over your mindset. So you might even see something and you walk past it, but it pops up later. So the children, the young people, yes, they see these people, oh, they want to blow. They want to drive the Range Rovers. They want to drive the Rolls Royce. They want to drive the big life, So they are looking up to that. And then the movie industry portrays, oh, yes, you can do this to make quick money. Why go through school? Why work? Why go through stress when you can have a shortcut to make this money? And then somehow there's also a debate, because when these movies show you this thing, they always show you the negative part.
True.
But the truth, they show you the negative part, the result of choosing that line of lifestyle. But the truth about it is, there was a post I saw one day and it was like, why live a long life and suffer when you can live a short life and live the best of it?
True.
So the mindset now is, we know that's a negative. Ask any Yahoo boy, they know that there's an end to what they're doing.
They don't care.
So they don't care. They're like, okay, this short time I have to live on earth, or this short time I have to be sane before I run mad. Let me make as much money and intimidate as much people. Because everybody is oppressing everybody.
Sorry to cut you. There's this thing, is like a trend now. Aside the challenges that the drop it challenge, the breakfast challenge, in fact, what else, please?
There are lots of
them. Aside those challenges that sometimes are dropped with these music songs that pop up so that it can trend. There's also this issue where maybe a music artist puts on these blings and you're like, I want this like
the latest trend now is having customized diamonds.
Wow.
That's the latest trend.
Wow.
So You can ask God if it's the original diamond or the fake diamond, but everybody's claiming to have customized diamonds. So you see these small children, they are growing up, you see them wearing some fake blings because they want to be like, oh, I want to be like, maybe, I don't want to call names, I want to be like this person, I want to be all nice and all rich and all that. But the truth is, if these social media influencers can say the story behind their success, if they can spend time to educate their followers that it's not a quick money world. A lot of them had to go through a lot of things, except for those who were born into wealth. But if you really sit down with some of those people and they share their experiences, they grew.
I'll get back to you because we're still going to talk about how driven a young person is to get this money, because we need to dive into that compulsion. There's no restraint, but I'll be back to you. Now let's talk about our adolescents. So Moi, you're a young mom of two kids, two amazing, beautiful kids. And I'm wondering, there was a story online about a young child at the age of 10 that was exposed to porn so early. And a lot of comments, oh, she's spoiled, how can she do this, that. And I'm like, she's just 10. So where did she learn it? Because truth is, it's observational learning right now. That's how kids learn. They don't learn by what you say, they learn by what you do. So they're observing your movements, they're observing what you yourself are watching. Yeah. So, and they pick these things. So imagine your concerns right now, kind of things that are online. Imagine because every child learns, we have to give it to the internet. Most education now are now e-learns.
Yeah.
So most of those informations are available on the tabs. You can easily train your child even from home. Homeschooling is even a way to go. But how do you control the things that pop up? The supposed Google ads. Let me hear your thoughts.
All right. Number one, parenting is a deliberate thing. It's not something you just leave your children because you're busy, you want to make money. You leave them at home with the nannies and the rest, and they just go to school, they come back. You don't know what happened in school. You don't have, this personal relationship with them. Parenting is deliberate, is intentional. You must be intentional about your children. Yeah. And then with all the things going around, like 10-year-old girl, I'm not going to blame anyone, either the girl or the parent, but we, the parents, we need to work hard with the things we see now. We need to deliberately work on our children. Like myself now, I have a daughter, like she will be 12 by November. I may be scared with all these things going on. And I thought that, okay, because myself and my daughter, we have a particular day of the month. We talk about things. She knows that at every last Sunday of the month, we have something we call Mommy's Time. She comes to me, we talk about everything. She's having a crush on someone, she will tell me, we talk about it, we deal with it. So let's create that forum where they can come to us, they can talk about everything else. It's not that maybe she's like that girl, she will be having some issues and maybe discuss with someone and they just introduce her to something and she just starts picking up. Children are fast in picking up things. And you can check them. They are fast in picking up things. So we should control what they see. She's 12. She's been asking me for a phone, but I told her I can't give you a phone now. I'm sorry. Yeah. What is the reason of having a phone? To communicate, right? She said, yes, okay, you communicate with me. You are here. When you're back from school, talk with me. Talk with your daddy. Talk with your brother. When you get to school, you have your friends. Talk with them. True. My son went to church and came back and told me that, Mommy, I want to color my hair to so. I said, what? But I can't just shout at him like that because that may really want him to one color that hair. And I asked him, in which house? The one. Then your school. You are attending a Catholic school. Did they allow that? He said, because of my school, maybe we can change school or something like that. Wow. I said, no. Because he went out, saw someone. It's not even just social media. The people they relate with too matters. So then we don't allow them. I don't know why we should give children 12 years, 10 years a phone, access to a phone. I don't see the I don't know. I might give you my opinion. I don't see it's my opinion anyway. But I don't see the necessity for now. When they're going to the university, you can give them a phone. But for now, I don't see the need.
For parenting, basically, the key word there is give them a soft landing in terms of relationship.
True.
If you don't build that relationship, they come to tell you, oh, for instance, a child comes to meet you, Mom, I have a crush.
Yes.
And
You
you
what?
do-
You
you
mean,
attack it.
you know, because the truth about it is that parenting is evolving. The way they brought us up, if you try it now, it won't
different.
work.
Yeah.
That's
You
true.
know, so you have to build a relationship with your girl child, with your boy child, if your husband is not doing that, because a lot of men are not even ready to keep up to their responsibilities, you know, but you have to build that relationship that you are able to discuss. Yes, if you don't build that relationship, they can't share those things that will not make you give them advice.
True.
They will not
You know,
work.
like last week, I had a session, you know, with my kids, and it was very funny because the kind of things I heard, I was what? When we're talking about the whole Chrislam thing, they were like, oh yes, now there are cases of 7 minutes in heaven, different kind of crazy games, and you're like, you hear 7 minutes in heaven, and you think, oh, it's a godly game. It's not. You know, when you lose, it's like they lock you and somebody in a room for 7 minutes and you can do anything. You know, so the world is evolving.
Wow.
If you don't build that relationship with them, you won't know these things and you will not know how to now give them advice.
That's true.
So gone are the days when you scold a child for doing something, you sit down and discuss. So that way they can open up more and they can feel more comfortable to always come back to you instead of talking to somebody outside that will give them a horrible advice.
And then the whole parenting thing, part of it, yes, of course, I hope to be a parent someday, but I have, of course, 2 great mommies here. And of course, and I have sisters that are married, right? So this parenting thing is really, I think it's the bane, it's the anchor to all these problems. And then again, like she pointed out, like Ngozi pointed out that, you know, when we were growing up, it's not the same anymore. But now I think there should be a balance. Now, parents now have this tendency to go to the extreme of where they don't beat their child, they don't want their child to suffer, they don't want their child to go through what we went through. You know, they have to, you know, the soft landing now becomes too much. Where I remember then in school, you know, where you do something and then you get spanked or you get punished, you know, and then you come back home and then your mom investigates and everything, and the person goes and starts screaming screaming on the teachers and really so angry, and then you don't even, some parents are actually scared to talk to their children, like not really scared, I don't know, maybe this let's say petting, you know, you pet them so much that they don't even have, you know, you lose that value system. And I remember my mom's elder sister, she lives in Warri, when we go for holidays. There was a time, you know, she was driving, we were all going to church, and a child just carelessly crossed the main road. She parked her car, she came down, she spanked this child seriously, like, why would you do that? Do you want to put your mom into, what would you know? And parents of these days will actually probably come and fight her. But then when the baby gets home, yes, when the baby gets home and you tell your mom, I crossed the main road carelessly, the mom will even beat you more and tell you, why would you do something like that? Yeah. So it's actually a collective thing where all parents have to like strike a balance. Don't go to the extreme.
Yes, exactly.
Nobody uses suffering to brag. There's nothing, you know, but at the same time, don't now overdo it, because these things, and then when you're parenting, another problem about parenting I notice is that for boys and girls, parents trying to differentiate it. The girls are the responsible ones that will marry someday, as if the boys won't eventually marry. The boys even marry and they have more responsibility, because if you train a responsible boy, the person will treat a girl better. Like this domestic violence now you just talked about, where children see where their moms are being, you know, beaten. So yes, and then they grow up and they think that's how to correct a woman. That's how to go about it.
Funny enough, I have to make reference to this. As regards parenting and training a child, I found out that because there was a case recently about a son of a principal who beat up, was a less than 2-year-old child in school, and literally the boy died.
Yeah, I think
so, and it's sad. And if you have to look at his response to the questioning, you could see that he didn't say anything. And I'm like, what could have, because he's a young man, what could have framed, what kind of
his
influence
mindset
could have framed his mind to think he can be that violent to a 1-year-old plus and still feel justified? Like, what did he see? Was it on the internet or was it at home?
Exactly, the environment.
And
the environment has a lot.
Truly,
Nurture.
a child is trained in many ways. So, but now it brings me back to young people. The suicide rates we see, the violence, if you see a typical average young Nigerian, we are angry, We are angry 90% of the time.
For understandable
You
reasons.
you can be smiling this minute and you just see one debit from your account and you just see minus and you're just angry. You
Power
forget.
failure is enough to get you angry. I mean, you don't get to sleep well, and then you
Yes,
expect
the
you
heat.
to be productive the next morning. It's
The
not possible. Yeah.
Increase in fuel, now meaning increase in transportation, which by the way, the fuel has regulated, but the transport is still high.
It's still high. The
The
prices are not
prices
coming
of things
down.
is still high. Is enough for a young person who is supposed to be the independent population, who is supposed to be the working population. You are frustrated 90% of the time. So I'm wondering what frustration was going through that guy's mind. What is he seeing on the internet that made him feel less than enough? That he had to take out that frustration. Because that was what it was.
Probably his mate on Instagram.
Yes, he just
don't
saw
blow,
someone
and I'm
getting
here suffering.
Yeah,
and
it's just,
stopping me.
and maybe that was when the child misbehaved, just out of
Transferred aggression.
Transferred aggression. And I think it's the same thing with those who go into it. Why will you kill your girlfriend? Somebody you claim to love.
It's a
please
terrible,
help me here.
it's a terrible
It's really-
thing,
it's really
honestly.
terrible. Yes, it is.
It's
Well,
really terrible.
for the how old is he? Is that
The child.
Yeah, the child
1 year.
that killed.
1 year, 4 months.
Okay, that was the one that died. 1 year,
Yeah,
4 months.
the man wasn't even up to 30, or maybe in his early 30s.
Also, it's obviously an adult that
Yeah.
committed such a crime.
Yes.
Well, you are right to say that we are angry. Yes, but it is not enough to transfer that aggression on a 1-year-old.
The 1-year-old is a baby.
The
for
mental
crying out
state
loud.
of the
1-year-old is a
person.
baby, for heaven's
Yes.
sake. It's just a child, but nevertheless, I won't completely say maybe this adult saw something on the internet and then he decided to try it or vent that anger on a child. I mean, his brain is developed, for heaven's sake. You
With the wrong things.
Exactly. Well, no, I would say it's developed with the wrong things, because if it were, let's say, a child that is less than 17, you know that their brain is still developing and they don't have the capacity to think as fast as an adult would. I mean, this is research, but for an adult to, can I use the word bully a 1-year-old?
That was murder. That was cold-blooded
It
murder.
was, so you won't completely relate that to
Yes.
the internet. He was in his right state of mind to do such a thing.
But
Probably
let's not
mental
forget that
completely.
mental health.
Mental,
Yes,
mentally.
because
You
Yeah,
may not actually
except
be
his
right
mental
state of
health.
mind.
Mentally,
Yes.
yeah.
And people, and it's so sad that the part of the world we live in, we don't take it seriously. People
Yes.
study psychology in school and they don't even have, they can't make out anything out of it. You see them bankers, you see them going to other things. And these are critical, issues. Mental health. I mean, if you're not stable up here, you can't actually be productive. You must be sound mentally. People suffer from a lot of, small, even in schools, children suffer from dyslexia, children suffer from learning disabilities that we don't even pick, and you go to school, they beat them ET.
Yeah.
You don't know anything, and all these things, and it's wrong. And then the child grows up, feeling inferior, feeling, yes.
Because in the Western world, it's not that way.
Exactly.
They are giving opportunity
it's
to
actually-
therapy and all that, which
Yes.
could also help them.
Exactly.
Our own therapy is street madness.
Yes. So that man that actually committed this murder could actually be so sick in the head.
Yeah.
True.
Could actually
And
be-
I'm like-
but nobody knows. He's just walking up and down and probably get married. I have one I don't call him. I have one of such people in my office. I'm so sure that person is that man is not fit to be working. Well, he causes nuisance and his civil service, the Nigerian system, you don't really get to do anything about it. They'll tell you, and this same person, your family will not go and marry somebody.
Exactly.
and
The
give you-
families who want to cover up and
Cover
marry
up and
somebody
marry
that
somebody. So this is-
oh, you take care of my child.
But are we wrong to say that this person was influenced by what he or she saw on the internet, or the kind of lifestyle that was sold on the internet, and he or she got so depressed, and I don't know.
Well, the internet part, let's not forget where we are
Because
as well.
there's-
So many
yes.
people don't even still have access to this internet.
That's true.
Yeah.
we're not in a developed world where internet is like everybody. There's no, So here, people, I know a lot of people that touch phones are still selling in the market every day because yes, it's even more beneficial to you in the night because there's never light. So you need your touch phone to do stuff. So this is nurture. This man's on now, basically, majorly, I think is actually where he's coming from, the kind of things he was exposed to, the kind of background he came from, so how it functions, because now the African society, the Igbo society has this way of, they're being condescending to the girl child, to the women. So all these things, and you grow up and you're thinking that you're superior, I'm a man. You should do this, you can get away with a lot of things, it's a man's world, and it's not, So this value reorientation is key for everybody. But the older generation, the younger generation, value reorientation, and then again, is a collective responsibility. We can't do it, nobody's an island, we can't actually get better. So now, Lade pointed out now that we are angry people. And that even makes it harder for us. The job now becomes really, really hard, because as angry people, you have to set it aside, because, being angry doesn't excuse you, or it's not justifiable.
You have to keep going.
Thank you. You have to maybe that's why we actually excel, because we're not bad entirely, right? Nigerians, we go all over the world, we're excelling everywhere.
Yeah.
Because we learn how to survive under pressure.
Exactly.
We have survivors.
So when we get there and we see that all our prayer points are actually just normal, then that means the sky becomes our starting point, and then you just go there and excel. So there's hope.
I have to say, just to chip in, there are days when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, God, just teleport me 3 months. You can bring me back later. But just to say that, based on what Chinedu says, it shows that the influencing is even beyond what is on the internet, what is on television. Yeah. It's even within our own society, and there's some cultures that we have. But let's bring it back to our topic.
Okay.